Hello, cats and kittens. Orewa Jose, Yoroshku, and welcome back to the Crisis Corner on Manga Monday. So good to me. Anyway, we're back in the Crisis Corner on Manga Mondays, and today I am plugging independent comics. There's no One Piece chapter this week, so I'm not doing a review on One Piece, but C3 Comics always says, broaden your horizons. And I personally always say support the independents. So you put them two together, support independent comics and broaden your horizons. And today I'm going to be recommending to you a book by a dear friend of mine, Dre the Brute Daniels, from Brutal Planet Comics, a book called Treble. If you're a fan of old school 80s, 90s comics, Marvel and DC stuff, or even Static from Milestone Comics, I think you're going to like Treble because I'm not saying it's a ripoff. I'm not saying it's going right after that. It has that vibe. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe that I got off of it. And that was an era that I'm particularly fond of because that's probably my favorite era of comics is the 80s and the 90s. So it's a big recommend to me. Let me get you the synopsis. The synopsis is such. It says, a mysterious virus has taken Washington, D.C. by storm. The city is in a panic. It is going crazy. A high school student named Zamir Green has been exposed to a virus and his body begins to mutate. It seems like music is triggering something deep within him. This series is an action drama musical. Throughout the series, our main character will discover that he has gained the ability to gain different superpowers based on the genre he listens to. The powers are based on emotional, stereotypical responses that people in our world have towards particular genres of music. So one of the first things that really got me about Treble is the character Zamir Green himself and his skill set. But I'll get into that in a minute. But you got Zamir. First of all, he lives in Washington, D.C., he goes to school. Where he goes to school, Cardozo High School, I literally lived across the street from. You know what I'm saying? So that's one plus of the series is that I see places in the book that I know being from D.C. So represent D.C. So that's an automatic catch for me. Okay, so he's a high school student, goes to Cardozo High School. He is a popular kid, I give him that. Usually when you see these stories, these high school stories, they're like downtrodden kids just getting spit on and laughed at, whatever. He's a DJ, which is cool. The story largely involves music, because he loves music, and there's even lyrics throughout the series when he listens to music, and you see the effect that it has on him, the genre of music. That's another plus because I love music. I love all genres of music, so it's another trigger for me. So I get off on that. He's, like I say, the 11th grade student, Cardozo High School. He's got a set of friends. He has his best friend, which be Antonio, and then he also has another friend named Sam. Antonio being his hype man is essentially close friend and actual hype man as in his DJ pursuits, at least for that party anyway. And then Sam, I don't think he's extremely fleshed out at this point, but I do know that he's from wealth to some extent, and I don't know if eventually he's going to help back Zamir's career as Treble, which is his alter ego name, that'll get taken care of. I've been through 1 through 5 so far, so there's a lot of story left to go. So we'll get into that as the story progresses. What else we have? We have his mother, Renee, who gives me Aunt May vibes, you know, doting mother, proud of her son, loving, very affectionate. So I get Aunt May vibes for her. So you got, like I said, it gives me the feel for some of the comics that I grew up loving. You also have a potential love interest in a reporter that's in the series. How old she is, I'm not sure. I hope she's close to Zamir's age, but her name is, I gotta look at my notes here. The love interest is Carla Vidal, who actually helps him out in a battle during the series in issue 5. She actually helps him, you know, renders him some aid in a kind of comical sense. And who else? Other characters. We have the antagonist, who is he's an evil doctor as far as I can tell, and his character design puts me in mind of Hugo Strange from Batman. But he's either the head of or a key worker in a nefarious science capital. So the idea is, in DC, someone taints the water supply with some kind of genetic mutagen that alters people, but only people with a certain blood type. One of whom happens to be the protagonist, Zamir, causing him to gain his powers. Other people are affected as well, which again kind of gives you static vibes with the original, with the Big Bang and all that. But it's more, in my mind, it's a bit more purposeful. It's essentially an experiment. Somebody's running an experiment and monitoring the experiments as they go along. So that's how he gets his powers, and he encounters other people who have gained abilities, who've essentially, when we see one of whom who's escaped from the clutches of the evil doctor, whose name is Dr. Jason Mathers. Yeah, the Hugo Strange looking fellow. He encounters at least one person who's escaped from the lab and is, you know, just trying to, you know, get back to his regular life, or at least escape from the lab and be free. So the story follows Zamir basically as he's adapting to the abilities that he has, and his friend helps him to some degree try to figure out how his powers work, and going back to those powers with a change of genre of music comes a change of abilities. For instance, he listens to hip hop, he gets superhuman strength. He listens to classical music, it enhances his mental faculties, basically making him a genius. He listens to dance hall, he gets superhuman speed. And there's another genre of music that gives him, I haven't figured out exactly what it is, but it gives him an armored form, a form of armament. The potential is off the charts, because, you know, you can get into all kind of stuff. House, you can get into, you know, straight country. You know, that's one of the draws to the story to me, is the potential power sets or skill sets that he can gain from music is just, the sky's the limit. And he loves various types of music. So, and it can also be problematic because, you know, is he always going to get the opportunity to switch between skill sets during a battle? We've seen so far that he has been able to, at least to some degree. Uh, but going forward, like I say, that just is a draw to me because I want to see how this actually plays out as he progresses and fights different villains and gets into different situations. So far, he's been able to aid a uh, mother and child escape from a burning building by using a different skill sets. He gets into a battle with a. I'm not going to give up too many spoilers, but he gets into a battle with an escapee from the crazy doctor and uses at least two different skill sets. And I want to see how that progresses. Uh, I like the story because it has heart in terms of his relationship with his mom and with his friends. You can see the budding potential love interest that he has with Carla. I want to see where that goes. And while there is drama and intensity to it, I mean, some people lose their lives, cost of doing business, There's also, the story doesn't take itself too seriously. One part that I found was particularly funny was, and I don't want to give up too much, to defeat, in the fifth issue, to defeat the foe, he needs, how can I say this without here? He needs to acquire something, a mineral. I say he needs to acquire a mineral, and he does so. And to me, it almost seems like a commentary on the American food system, or just American eating habits to me. But I could be wrong. I don't know if it was intentional, but whatever. It seems to me a commentary on eating habits. Anyway, that he was able to find this much of one mineral in one place, in a specific place. Anyway, Treble to me is got a lot of potential. Let me get to the artist also. Francisco Avila Corsini, I think is his name. His art is very consistent, very clean, very clear, suits the story perfectly. You can follow it, you can understand it. It's very good art. And the story runs at a good pace. And I like the characters and I want to see how they develop. And I'm especially interested in Zamir and how he further discovers his powers and develops his powers, and to see how his clique continues to form. So far, he's got two friends that he can rely on, and he might have a third in Carla, I think, but that's neither here nor there. So I'm recommending that. Treble, I think the current arc is The Rhythm Within, but I could be wrong. Maybe Treble is the name of the book. I think The Rhythm Within is the name of the arc. So it's available at Spinwiz Comics because Dre Daniels is also a publishing mate of mine at Spinwiz Comics. So go to Spinwiz Comics, you can pick up Treble, and you can also pick up Intrepid and 4 Armageddon from C3 Comics. But by all means, pick up Treble. It's a really good read. It's a fun read. It's got crazy potential, and I think you'll enjoy it. It takes me back to the comics that I like, 80s, 90s, that kind of vibe. I think you'll enjoy it. So that's it for Manga Mondays. One Piece will be back next Monday, and we'll give a review on the continued battle in Onigashima. Check out Treble. Let me know what you think. And until next time, stay loose.